Welcome back to Flying Tiles Academy. I want to encourage you to follow along with your 2025 National Mahjong League playing card as we go through the decision making process when practicing the Charleston on our own. So, what I'm doing here is I'm going to show you how I set up this process as it won't be seen in the upcoming hands. So, I'm playing with Mahjong Maven's triple layered royal purple tiles, and they have a lovely face that you can understand and see. It's a traditional tile. I believe I'm going to pull one up here so you can see. There we go. See what it looks like. It's clear. And then you have the royal purple, and then you have the white part for the face of the tile. So what I do is I pull out 18 tiles, and I'm going to put them in 6 stacks of 3 each. So you have your right over left, left over right. And then for the optional tiles, I'm going to pull those tiles out of the stacks that I have set aside or I've discarded from my hand. So you're going to have 6 stacks of 3 tiles each. And also what I'm doing here is I am pulling out any jokers or flowers that might be in here, as we can't pass jokers, and flowers are passed rarely. I also am making sure that in each 3 stacks there's not like a pair or something that would unlikely be passed together, just to try to keep it as genuine as possible. I'm not going to show the setting up process in the upcoming hands in this video. So when we set our tiles up, when we get our 13 or 14 tiles, you want to organize them in suits, and you also want to organize the winds, dragons, and flowers. I put the flowers and the dragons on the far left-hand side, and I put the winds on the far right-hand side. So you want to make it look organized so you can see patterns, you can see what's going on, you can see what grouping they're in. Okay, so let's look at our first hand here. I should have 14 tiles, and make sure that you always count your tiles. That's really important. It is really easy for however we do it, we can end up with too few or too many. All right, I'm looking at what I have in pairs and runs. It looks like I have a nice strong consecutive run there. I'm going to be passing a 1.8 BAM and a 4 BAM. The editing kind of made it look odd there. So that's what I had passed. I'm going to be focusing on consecutive runs. That's the strongest category that I have. So as I'm choosing my tiles to discard, I'm only keeping those that support the consecutive run, unless something comes in and really makes another category a lot stronger. So all right, let's see what we pick up here. That core consecutive run is still very strong. I got a flower, so I swapped that out, since usually you don't get a flower in the Charleston. It's rare. Okay, so I've got a green dragon. Okay, I'm swapping out that joker since jokers can't be passed. Assessing every time, looking at what we see, and it's still very strong in the consecutive run. There's a lot of different ways you can go, and especially if you pull jokers, I mean, that'll open up your options even more in the consecutive run. So, okay, so I've got a pair of dragons. And I have a red. That's interesting. So you don't want to pick a hand too soon. However, that's a strong hand for the 6th hand down, with the opposite suited dragons. So that's where I'm focusing on. I'm going to keep those dragons. I just need a red dragon to make that pair of dragons. And so that is a Pung Pung Kong, which can use the jokers if I pull that from the wall when we start playing. And so I think that's a very, very strong hand. It's a hand without a gap too, which is a plus. So you want to try to get a hand without a gap. And here we go to the next one. All right. So again, assess, see what you have. I see a lot of, okay, so we have smaller numbers, the 1, 3, 1, 3, 3, 5. It's kind of pulling me in the direction of little odds. So I'm looking in the odd section, And you have little odds and big odds. So little odds is from 1 to 5, big odds is from 5 to 9. The East, I will only keep those if more come in to support that. I usually start giving those away maybe the second over or the first left, depending on what comes in. You do have to be careful not to overvalue the winds or the dragons. Sometimes people will hang on to those. And let's see what we have here. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. That's interesting. All right, and a soap and a 9 crack. Okay, so I'm still looking at the smaller numbers. So we have little odds, and we might have consecutive. We've got 1, 2, 3 there, and all right, East and 9 crack and an 8 dot. Okay. Also, you want to pass defensively. So you want to try to pass as best you can to not help your opponent make a hand. So you try to pass, like, let's say a 1 crack and an 8 bam, because those don't have hands that have those together. You don't want to pass pairs, that sort of thing. Sometimes you have to make those hard decisions just to keep your hand as viable as possible, because your priority is to develop your hand during this stage. The only thing you cannot do is pass a joker. You can do everything else. There's just good strategy and maybe bad strategy. So, all right. So it looks like let's see, where am I going to? Okay. So it looks like I'm leaning into consecutive run. Yes. So I've got that pair of flowers. I have the soap, which goes with, that's suited with the dots. So I have a hand that's getting developed there. That's very nice. And putting the ones on the end there that don't support that. So it looks good. I could use a joker to get my pung. Oh, wow. Okay, so I have a Kong of 3 dots. I could use joker to get my pung of soaps, and it looks like, all right, it looks like what I don't have is a 1 dot pair. So with that hand, it's 1 dot pair, 2 dot pung, and then I already have my 3 dot Kong and then the soap. So I can use a joker with the 2 dot if that doesn't come in. The only thing that would be difficult might be getting that 1 dot pair, but it also is a hand without a gap, which is really good. I have all the tiles for that hand. And we're moving on to my Cardinal Vintage set, Prestige. And I like this set. The tiles are really nice and smooth. I strongly encourage you to practice this decision-making process on your own. It helps to exponentially increase your skill level and the decision-making time that it takes during an actual Charleston when you're playing with other people. I know my frustration level really decreased quickly as I practiced how to make decisions, understanding the card, knowing each areas, also just knowing that it's about gathering tiles in a certain section. So it makes it easier as you're not having to figure out your hand, or you should not be figuring out your hand at this point. You're just hoarding tiles in different sections. Players want to use the Charleston to discover their hand, not to decide the hand right away. So don't lock in your hand. Use the Charleston to explore different possibilities, and remember to stay flexible. You may be thinking you're going towards one category, and as the passes come in, you'll notice with patterns and the tiles that another category might be better. Each pass will give you information. The tiles you receive tell you where your hand wants to go. Beginners will often stress about picking a hand too soon. All players should begin collecting patterns, not chase one particular hand. By the end of the Charleston, a hand will start to reveal itself, but you have to let it unfold naturally. So in practical terms, keep pairs, runs, and flexible tiles that could fit more than one hand. Let go of the isolated tiles that don't connect to anything. And also, remember to not force your delt tiles to match a hand on the card. That's really important. In upcoming videos, I will be looking at the Charleston decision-making process in greater details. So I learned to play Mahjong, oh my gosh, I guess 27 years ago. I had a group of friends and they needed a fourth person to fill the seat. They taught me enough where I could play, but it wasn't enjoyable. I was so frustrated. I didn't know any tips or tricks of how to develop my hand, of what to look for. The card was overwhelming with just all the colors and areas and what to choose, what to do. And this was before the internet was the way, or is the way it is today, which is wonderful. So I hope that I can help other folks not experience the level of frustration that I experienced and the headaches that I experienced trying to figure this game out. So I really enjoyed this game. I loved being with my friends. They were a lot of fun. So anyhow, oftentimes new players will stop the Charleston after the first left if they're in between hands and they don't know which way to go. They don't know what to choose, and it's can be very overwhelming. It is recommended that you lean into the hand which goes into the category of least resistance. That means the category that has the most options for you, the least pairs that you have to make. So you wouldn't want to go into singles and pairs. You'd want to go towards consecutive run, the odds, little odds, big odds, perhaps 2, 4, 6, 8, or perhaps 3, 6, 9. So you lean towards that hand that has the most options for you versus just stopping the Charleston. This will give you greater odds that you'll get Mahjong. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. I have some more videos coming up and a couple of unboxing videos of some vintage sets, which I really will love to show you. And I hope you too will also enjoy them. Okay, take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.